to inviting people in. That same kind of citizen task force I talked about, where we ask people for their opinions. We want them to come in and give us suggestions for how to improve. And there's actually there is a space on the website now where you can a suggestion box, where citizens can go and say, here's something you need to fix, because we can't have eyes and ears everywhere. And so the city and county government need to have people give us input. So that transparency is important for that. It's also so people trust how their tax money is being spent. If you have a bond that's issued that's building schools, you want to see that those schools went up, and you want to know how much they cost. You want to make sure that we were doing it in the most efficient and effective way possible. So transparency is very important. Teamwork and collaboration are also very important, because we are not just a city, we are a region. We have a regional commuting base and a regional sales and business base. And so if you're a company, you know, you don't notice whether you're in Mecklenburg or Lincoln County. Your clients are everywhere.
Correct.
You know, there are many people who work in Charlotte and may live in Union County or live in South Carolina. But they're using the same services, they're using the same roads, transportation. We have sales tax. We have a lot of things that we are doing together. They share the same water supply. The Catawba River is extremely important to the whole region. And so the collaboration and the teamwork is needed to make sure that Charlotte is not just being insular and taking care of itself, but that we're reaching out to Morrisville. I was in Morrisville last weekend. I was in South Carolina 2 weeks ago talking to the Lions Club down there. They all want to know what's going on in Charlotte. They all want to know because they've got this, you know, the Buster Boyd Bridge that maybe needs repair and some fixing. They're going to have to collaborate between the two states to help that infrastructure. So the more collaboration and teamwork, the broader view that we can have in making our system work, in helping businesses find the right place to locate, helping create jobs for the region, helping the transportation connect those jobs and those people in the right way without too much congestion, with also taking care of the environment, which affects us all. It's a complex region, but we absolutely have the capacity and we have the structure in place to make it work if we put in the effort. We have a 16-county region that the Charlotte Regional Partnership markets as a whole, and those counties are working together to grow jobs. And so they already know what the specialties are of each county. You know, which county offers a better this, or other county might offer a better that, you know, whether it's a community college or an entrepreneurial site or a certain type of resource. The more that we know about each other, the better we can be at promoting our entire region and celebrating the successes of our entire region.
That's true, that's true. How do we get Charlotte education program competitive with some of the best programs in the country?
Well, you've hit on the key component for making sure that our growth continues, that people continue to want to move here and live here and raise their families. We have to have a strong K-12 education system.
That's true.
The city doesn't have a vote on the school budget. It is funded by the state, the county, and a little bit by the federal government. However, the city cares about workforce, the city cares about thriving neighborhoods, the city cares about quality of life. You can't talk about all those without talking about education. Education is the foundation. It's the foundation for opportunity. It's the foundation for democracy and for making our system work. And so as mayor, I would help convene the people who need to work together to make sure that we are succeeding in education. We work with after-school programs. We work with collaborating around that, because it's not just school time that's educational, it's after school and before school that also contributes to that. If you don't have a system that's collaborative and works together, people fall through the cracks. We can't afford to have people fall through the cracks, because you never know where the cure for cancer is going to come from.
That's true.
There could be a child living on the poorer part of town who's going to find that cure. We need to give him or her the potential to realize that.
When I say diversity and inclusion, what does that mean to you as the potential mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina?
Oh my goodness, there's so many ways that we can improve on that. I talked about the fact we have a diverse community, and that means we have not just African Americans and whites, we have Asian Americans, we have Latino Americans, we have people from all over the world who are here. We also have different political viewpoints. We have different age, different perspectives, rural versus urban. People who were born here, and then people who've just been here a few months.
True.
So all that diversity. So how do we capitalize on that? How do we celebrate that and embrace that? We make sure our city policies have non-discrimination against any of the categories that have nothing to do with your financial and economic success or your right as a citizen of this city and this country. And so we need to make sure that we are looking everywhere to be inclusive in our procedures, in our ordinances and our structures. We need to make sure our contracting is helping bring forward not just the big companies who we know have lots of resources and outreach, but also that they're looking in their subcontracting at small, minority-owned and women-owned businesses. Let's make sure we're bringing everybody along. Let's make sure that our public contracts, where we're spending public tax money, reflects the companies that are diverse in our community. So if we have a community that has a certain balance, racially, ethnically, et cetera, our public contracts should try to look like that, because it's everybody's tax money, right? It's, whether you're a minority or a woman or an old person or young person, all that tax money is part of what pays for the contracts. So we should work very hard to make sure our contracting is inclusive. There's also room for inclusion in our citizen input. The city has about 50 citizen boards, everything from the bicycle advisory group to the public safety group. We want to make sure that when we're looking at appointments to those committees, because the city council approves those, we want to make sure we have folks there who are Spanish speaking. Maybe they're from the country of India. Maybe they're from China. Maybe they're from a poor section of town. Maybe they're from a wealthy section of town. We want to make sure that all of that is included when we look at voices coming from our community. And again, you have to be a little bit intentional about that. One of the challenging areas is folks who may not have access to the internet.
Okay.
We have a large part of our population who are digitally separated because internet is expensive, cell phones are expensive, but they have great ideas and they live here. So we should be reaching out to people who are not necessarily online. And that's one more area of inclusion in that diversity that we have. So you can see there are many different ways of looking at it, and you have to be intentional, because that way you get true democracy and you also get the best outcomes.
What separates you, Ms. Roberts, from the rest of the other candidates for mayor?
Well, we don't really know who all the candidates for mayor are yet.
That's true. We have a lot out. Yes, ma'am.
We don't really know, but I can tell you a few things about me and about my campaign that I know are very much a part of who I am and how I would govern. I speak Spanish fluently.
Okay.
And we talked about diversity and how our community is changing. There is about, 20% of our schools are children who speak Spanish at home. And that community would greatly appreciate having a mayor who can speak to them in their language.
Correct.
Most of them speak English, but you know what Nelson Mandela said? When you speak to a man or woman in a language they understand, you speak to their head. But when you speak to them in their own language, you speak to their heart.
Okay.
And so that's one way to, again, be more inclusive, that ability to speak Spanish. But also the fact that I have that international background, that I have lived overseas, that I have contacts overseas, that I recognize the value that brings to jobs here, to growth here, to export market, to the cultural richness and diversity. That's something we can build on, that we can make Charlotte a premier 21st century global city with a world reputation. We have the capacity and the potential to do that. And the skill set I bring to the table will help us get there. I also have always been inclusive and transparent in the way I have governed. When I was a commissioner, every month I have a breakfast with whoever wanted to come.
Correct.
To come and join me and tell me what's on your mind, what issue do you want to have more information on, what's your great idea to help us improve in whatever area of county government we had at the time. And people made connections with each other, but they also gave me great feedback. They felt that they understood what was going on in government, the mystery was removed, the transparency was highlighted, and that gave them confidence and trust in what we were doing as elected officials and as the professional staff that runs the city and the county. So, you know, I think that's just indication of a couple of areas that make me different. Also, as I said, having served for 5 years as the county commission chair, that gave me a unique perspective on what it's like to represent our region at a state and national level, and to be a leader in bringing people to the table, in helping that, you know, there's a metropolitan mayors group that meets, and again, we need to lead that convening and that collaboration, because people look to Charlotte, you know, even other parts of the state, as that economic leader, as that thought leader, and as the innovation center. We could build on that to continue to grow jobs and continue to grow the energy and dynamism that make us a 21st century city. And so those are things I feel pretty passionately about. Right. I want everybody to be at the table, but I want them to have the opportunity for that dynamic energy and strong potential as we lead not just the state, but in the country. We're the 16th largest city in the country. We are the second fastest growing in this country. That gives us great potential for leadership to help not just our state, but our country. And I would look forward to the opportunity. It would be an honor for me to have the opportunity to do that.
I applaud you, Ms. Roberts. I'm saying, when you were county commissioner, you did a great job, and I expect only nothing but the best for you. And if someone wanted to get in contact with you as far as volunteering, how would they do that? I
have a website, and it is pretty easy to remember, jenniferrobertsformayor.com. And it's spelled F-O-R spelled out. So jenniferrobertsformayor.com. They can sign up to volunteer, they can sign up for our email newsletter, and get more information on the campaign at that website.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Mr. Roberts for being on the show. Get out there and support Ms. Roberts. Thank you for watching the show, and you be encouraged.